Hey folks, Roland Martin here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk all about spinnerbaits and how to make spinnerbaits. We'll talk about how fragile the spinnerbaits are, what's the need of replacing the wire of a spinnerbait, the ways to change blades of a spinnerbait, just the regular construction of it and how easy it all is. And so that's what I want to start off with. But first I want to impress upon you how fragile the spinnerbait can be. Now, a good story is B.A.S. Spinnerbaits is one that Jimmy Houston uses a lot. And it was one that he won a lot of tournaments with. But I asked him one day, I said, Jimmy, gosh, I use the B.A.S. Spinnerbaits, but after 2 or 3 days and after 20 or so fish, the spinnerbait breaks. He says, oh yeah, Roland, you can't use a spinnerbait, or at least in tournament competition. I don't ever use a spinnerbait more than 1 day. And then I replace it with a brand new one. And the reason is this wire. This is 35 thousandths of a wire, and B.A.S. has about the 35 thousandths. And here's the thing, okay? You catch a fish the first time, and it bends it that way, and then you catch it the second time, and you bend it down this way, and then you bend it the third time, and then you bend it back the fourth time, and watch what happens. After about 4 or 5 turns, 4 or 5 times, well, I'm gonna have to hold it with my pliers. After 4 or 5 times, you bend the thing back and look at that, broke right off. Because the bait got all crooked and you straighten it out. It got crooked, you straighten it out. How many times did I do it? I straightened it out like 4 or 5 times. This is practically a new spinnerbait. But the point is, when you bend this wire 3 or 4 times to like a 90 degree or even 30 or 40 degrees and you straighten it out again, it's only good for, a dozen or so bends like that. And then it's gonna break. And I don't know how many times I've talked to fishermen and say, boy, I lost the biggest fish of my life because I broke my spinnerbait. Well, here's the deal. Wire's cheap, and to replace that spinnerbait is not such a big deal. Now you notice right here, I want to just show you on the table what I got here. I got all these old spinnerbaits. I got dozens of them. Okay, I got all these old blades. Look at this, the blades that I've had for 20 or 30 years. Here's an old Roland Martin Big Bass spinnerbait. It's probably 40 years old. I'm going to take that blade off. It's a good look at the old Blue Fox. It says old Blue Fox. Look at that Blue Fox tackle. That's an old Blue Fox tackle. That's an ancient, really a collector's item because they haven't made that in 40 years, and that's the Roland Martin original Big Bass spinnerbait. Okay, one of the things I'm going to do here, see this bend right here where the swivel goes in? That bend, that's kind of a crummy bend. I'm going to make a better bend than that. I got this special tool right here to make really cool bends. And what I do with this bend to make this tool, I put this spinnerbait wire in this slot right here, and I come right here, and I come right here like this, and I put it about that much in there. I'm going to turn it this way. Turn it this way. I'll put it that much in there, and when I do, I'm going to turn it right around, turn it back around that way. Look at that bend. Look at that bend. Now, what I'll do now, I got the right bend. I'll just show you against this white how good a bend it is. Okay, I can take the blade that I just had, okay, and I put the blade in there just like this, and I put the blade right there. Now, I'm going to close that up even more. I'm going to take some pliers, okay, I'm going to close that up even more. I'm going to take my pliers, and I'm going to, okay, right here, and I'm going to close it right down just perfect. It won't come off. Let's see, right there, like that. Close it like that. And I can bend it right like there, make sure it's bent just right. Okay, I got to make sure it's not going to come through that hole. Okay, it can't come through there. It can't come through. It's a really good bend. It's down to the inside. Okay, it's really, really solid. It's a nice long blade. It's not going to get hung on my line. I'd made some the other night, and I had this wire too short. And this big number 4 or number 5 Hildebrandt blade was getting caught on my line a little bit. So now I'm going to go to this longer wire, and I'm going to go from there. Okay, let's go to the next step. Okay, folks, what's the next step? Well, the next step is a good skirt. I've got everything in order now. I have skirt making material. Let me look at this, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about with making a skirt. Let's just talk about that. I have a kit here for making skirts. Okay, let's talk about that. What this is we have a kit here, and we take a dark color. I'm going to take a really dark purple, and that's one thing. And I'm going to take a little bit of chartreuse because I'm going to add a chartreuse and a dark purple. I'm going to make about half of that. Okay, and I'm going to make this skirt. I'm going to put this together. Right now, this is just a kit for making skirts. Okay, I take this special tool, and let me show you this tool. This tool pulls the skirt through, and you can put that O-ring on there. Okay, I put a real solid little O-ring. This is a real solid little black little ring, and I put it on the front of the tool, and I put that ring in there, and I slide it over top of the thing. I slide it right over there. I slide it right over there. I slide it right there. I slide it up here. Now, at the end, there's a little, if you notice, there's a little hook right here. I take that little hook, and I put this, first I put this part of the skirt on there. Okay, I hung that on there. That's the first part. The second, I'll put the little chartreuse part, and I'll hang it on there. Okay, hang it on there, and I'm going to pull the whole thing in. I'm going to pull the whole thing in, pull it in. Let's pull it in all the way, and now I'm going to take the O-ring and slide it over here. Boom, it's on there. I come back with it. I come out, I take it off the little deal. Now, I have the skirt almost done. I'm going to take a pair of scissors or a sharp knife, and I can cut that off right here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and I cut it off right here again. Right here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I got a skirt, and it's the dark color, purple, black, and I'm going to try with both black and purple, but that's the way to make a black skirt. And I'm going to take the long side. I'm going to take the long side that I had. I'm going to wet the deal, and I'm going to come through the skirt right here, and I'm going to flare it up and put it back over this thing. Put it right up on that thing, right there, like that. Okay, hey, we're getting there. Look at that. It's all a beautiful skirt. It's a beautiful skirt. Now, what I'm going to do to it, hey, there's some more things for my night fishing. I'm going to, number one, I'm going to add a big pork chunk, either a plastic pork chunk, and probably even I even have some regular pork chunks, but some kind of a trailer, kind of slow it down, make it a bigger profile at night. And then I'm going to put a trailer hook on there. You know, I showed you these trailer hooks before. I like that's a 3/0. When this happens to be Eagle Claw, I use Gamakatsu as well. But I'd put a trailer hook on. I get the trailer hooks from here's Bass Pro Shop sells them. All sorts of people sell trailer hooks for a spinnerbait. But I always run if I can, if the water's open enough, it's not too thick and brushy, I'll run a trailer hook. Now that wasn't hard making that skirt. These skirt kits are pretty cool. Now what I have here, this is an old Hibden model skirt kit, but I don't know, any number of people make them. And these little plastic, they're a neoprene rubber collar that holds it all together. And then this tool pulls it all across and together. Hey, that makes any number of skirts. I can make just hundreds of skirts, and I got different ones. I have different colors. Look at that. I have all the watermelon colors and the more subtle colors for, say, smallmouth bass and for every kind of thing. Okay, so that's making a skirt. Well, now that's one kind of spinnerbait. Now, what about if I wanted to put a double-bladed thing on there? Well, you know, I have all these different clevises and different beads that I can put on a spinnerbait as well. And let's just talk about that for a second. In this box, I have all sorts of little beads and things like that. Now, if I want to put another blade before the main blade, here's how I do it. I just I put one bead on first. I got these beads are really cheap, just next to nothing. And I just decide to put one clevis on. Here's clevises right here. Make sure that it's the right size. Let's see if that's the right size. Yeah, that's the right size. Okay, now let's take a blade. Now here's a really important thing about a blade. Let's talk about a blade. I'm just going to put a silver blade on here to start with. Now, remember, there's two ways to put a blade on. It has to go forward. So in other words, as the spinnerbait's going forward, the concave the concave part, or that's the convex part, actually goes forward as well. So you got to go through the eye and make sure you don't put these blades on backwards. Okay, that's the blades on the shaft. Put a couple beads on. Boom, boom, boom. A bead on here, no problem. Another bead. I'm going to put 3 beads just to kind of hold the distance out. And all the beads do is just position it in the right position. And I think 3 beads are just about right. So 3 beads, and then make a different size beads, and you can play around with red beads. You can play around with silver. You can play around with even brass beads. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the bender, and I'm going to bend that wire in there. I'm going to put it on my bender right here. Little loop in there, kind of right around like that. Good. Okay, see, now I got that loop on there. Now I take my blade. Okay, so what I've done now, I've come up with a number 4.5 blade. I've taken this off an old leverage spinnerbait that I've used for years, and I've put some nice big O-rings on there. And now I'm going to attach it, make sure it's just good and solid by just squeezing it down with the pliers, squeezing it shut so it just won't come off. Okay, it's just really good in there. Okay, it's really perfect. It's really perfect, okay? That's a 4.5 blade. It's a silver blade. That's a perfect rendition of a shad. That's a 3/8 of an ounce spinnerbait head. That's a 30,000ths of a wire, a little bit thinner wire. And so for that, I'm going to use a chartreuse skirt, a chartreuse whole deal, and I can take a white whole deal. And there's different color whites and different color chartreuse. And I take the two skirt components and put together. I take my little ring and I put that through there. I stick it right through there like that. Okay, and I pull that thing through there. Well, before I pull it through, I want to put the O-ring on. Put the top ring on. Come right through the top with this deal right here. Slide it over here. This only takes a few seconds. Slide it down the tube. Okay, put this back and take this back. Pull this thing up forward. Pull it into the deal. Pull it. See, you pull it right in there like this, and you pull it right in there like that, and you pull it right in there, and you pull it in. And then you take your ring. You can get these rings in white as well. Pull it back out. Okay, cut this off. Now, I got everything I need except for cutting that skirt a little bit. I'll trim this off a little bit right here, and turn it around and trim it off right here. Okay. And now I have a skirt. One side is a little longer than the other, and I'll just wet it just real quick. Wet this real quick. Come right back on the blade and slide it right back up over the spinnerbait. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Perfectly done. Perfectly shaped. You notice one side was a little longer. Now they're both about the same size. The black is on the inside, so you don't really see the black. Chartreuse and white, the number 1 color. Regular nickel blades, number 1 color again. Hey, we're ready to rock and roll. Remember, after 10 or 15 fish, you might have to replace this head. Well, okay, we're getting somewhere. We've really shown you not only a way to make skirts, but how how to, you know, put the blades on a swivel, and using the right size swivels, the right size beads, right size wire. I have a little wire bender. All this stuff is cheap. I can make spinnerbaits for just a couple bucks. And by the fact that I have these old blades from old spinnerbaits, I mean, I buy new spinnerbaits. Don't get me wrong. Everybody sells spinnerbaits. I got big boxes of them. I got all these bags and boxes of spinnerbaits and blades and components, and they don't cost much. I mean, here's enough. I have enough in this box to make 100 spinnerbaits for just a couple dollars a piece, if that. I tell you, spinnerbait fishing is a really essential part. I'm a power fisherman. I just like to throw a big, heavy spinnerbait. It catches huge fish, as you well know. The biggest bass I've ever caught in not Texas, well, Texas was a spinnerbait, but the biggest bass I ever caught in Mexico was 14.25 pounds on a spinnerbait. So spinnerbaits are definitely for big fish. So to keep it big, change that wire, use heavy-duty components. Hey, we'll see you again soon on the water, and thanks for watching this YouTube. We'll see you later. Thank you.